Good morning, year one, and welcome to this week's English. So, this week we are having a go at planning an alternative telling of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. So, before we start doing that though, we're going to be having a look at our grammar starter, and this week we're looking at adding the suffix ing. So, get your whiteboards and whiteboard pens ready, and when you're ready to go, we'll get started. Okay, so we're looking at adding, and today we're looking at recognizing in how we use the suffix ing. So we're going to try to understand what a suffix is, remind ourselves what a suffix is, and understand the effect that suffix ing has on verbs. So Jack's here to tell us all about it. A suffix is added to a word to change its meaning. The suffix ing is usually added to a specific group of words. These words are called verbs. Can you remember what a verb is? You tell your grown-ups, and if you can't remember grown-ups, you may want to re-watch the BBC Bite-sized video that we looked at last week, which is available on the links for today's lesson. Okay, so let's see what you thought. That's right, every sentence needs a verb. It's not a verb without, it's not a sentence without a verb. Verbs are doing words, i.e. I climb high. They're feeling words, I like donuts, and they describe something that is happening, i.e. working. And that's what we're looking at, the ing today. So ing is added to a verb when something is going on over a period of time. So it's when something's happening for a while. It's called the continuous tense because it continues for a long time. So here's some examples. Verbs are also used to help us understand when something takes place, i.e. I am climbing, which is happening at the moment, but over quite a bit of time. I will be climbing happens in the future, but again, you're going to be doing it for quite a while. And the last one, I was climbing, happened in the past. So it's the past tense. And do you see the way that the ing means you're not just doing I climbed, but I was climbing a tree for half an hour. Okay, so your challenge today is to have a go at writing a couple of sentences. So think of something you plan to do tomorrow. Start the sentence, tomorrow I will be, for example, climbing a tree. Think of something, then your second challenge is think of something you did yesterday. Start the sentence with, yesterday I was, and again, that could be yesterday I was climbing a tree. So that's what you're looking to do. Just write two sentences using ing in your verbs. I bet you can do brilliant with that. And then we're going to get on with the main part of today's lesson. Okay, so today we're going to be having a look at innovating the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, can you tell your grown-up what innovate means? Can you remember what we do when we innovate a story? And grown-ups, start the video again when you're ready. That's right, year one. When you innovate a story, you're changing it. So we're going to be looking at these features and we're going to think of alternatives. So we could have a different person to Jack, different person to Mum, different animal to Daisy the cow, something different for the beans, something different for the beanstalk, something different for the giant. We could have something different to the gold, to the hen, to the harp, and lastly we could have something different to the axe. Now some of these things are going to be linked together. So I've come up with some alternatives of my own, and then we're going to have a look at some of the alternatives that year one came up with last year. But if you can come up with your own alternatives, that's absolutely brilliant, and that's all, and that's what we're looking to do. So we're going to finish looking again at this slide, and then you're going to have a go at drawing your own version of the story. So here we go. I came up with, instead of Jack, I thought I'd have somebody called Jill. So she takes the place of Jack. Instead of Mum, I'm having Dad. Not that imaginative, I concede. And he takes the place of Mum. Instead of Daisy, I went with a goat. Now the goat's probably still called Daisy or Maisie or Munchie. It's up to you. Instead of beans, I use what we know about green growth and growing things, and I've gone with seeds. Instead of a beanstalk, Jack drew a magic tree. And when he climbed that magic tree, he didn't meet a giant. No, instead he met a witch. So, when the witch falls asleep, Jack sees all the witch's treasure. And the witch's treasure are gems, a magic goose who lays a golden egg, and a violin who's going to cause him trouble later. And then right at the end of the story, instead of an axe, although an axe would have worked well, we've got a saw. So that's what I want you to have a go at doing. Now I'm going to show you a few of the ideas that we had of alternatives. If you wanted to have an alternative to Jill, you could have your own name, you could have a little boy, you could have a little girl. I would stick with a girl or a boy though. And Dad, you could have different people. So let's have a look at some of the alternatives people have come up with. So I chose a goat, but could have chosen a sheep, a unicorn, or any other animal that you think, but try to remember the animal needs to produce some kind of food. So you pretty much are looking for a mammal, something that can be milked. I came up with Dad, which was a nice easy switch for Mum, but we could have Granny, could have Nana, you could have had Grandad. It's up to you. I came up with gems, but you could have had diamonds, you could have had rubies, you could have had emeralds, could have had any other type of treasure. And I came up with a witch, but you could have had an ogre, like Shrek there. And lastly, I came up with a saw to cut down the tree, but you could have used a scythe, you could have used a sword. Depends what you grew, because there's nothing to say you have to have grown a tree. So, do you see the idea? Well, what I want you to do is have a go at drawing your own innovated version of the story. And then, if possible, send us a photo in to the Year 1 email address so we can see what amazing work you've done. And when you've finished, you'll end up with something that looks a bit like this. Okay, Year 1? Well done. I can't wait to see how you do.